Diablo I, Lord of Terror.
Something different today. I'm talking about Diablo 2. I'm older than many of you lot on YouTube, and I played Diablo 2 Lord of Destruction back when it first came out, and honestly, it blew my socks off. First off, I played it without the luxury of online guides or any of the multiplayer madness you see today. Just me, my mouse, and a lot of trial and error. But that made the experience all the more epic. Compared to other dungeon crawlers, Diablo 2 was on a completely different level. It had this magic that just sucked you in and refused to let go. It was hard, brutal at times, but absolutely rewarding. Now, when it came time to pick a character, I went for the necromancer. And look, I'll be honest, I needed all the help I could get. I wasn't the kind of player to go charging in with a barbarian. I tried, believe me, and failed badly. No, I was more the type to hang back, let my army of skeletons and golems do the dirty work, and occasionally shout out, "Go on lads, don't die on me." It was like I'd hired a group of mates to fight for me, while I sipped my health potions in the corner. But seriously, the necromancer was a proper genius choice for solo play, with his army of undead minions. Speaking of which, let's talk about the skills tree. Diablo 2 gave you so many ways to build your character, it felt like a game in itself. Every level up felt so good. Do you pump more points into summoning skeletons, boost your curses, or max out bone spears so you could blast demons from a distance? I went all in on the summon skills, creating this walking dead army, and it was brilliant. At one point, I had more skeletons following me than Aragorn had in the battle for Gondor. As for the game itself, the world was divided into 4 acts, each one completely unique. I fell in love with Act 1 straight away. There was something so atmospheric about that rogue encampment, the crackling campfires, the eerie woods, and the dark, oppressive tone. It felt like a proper adventure. And of course, the first meeting with Deckard Cain, where he drops that iconic line, "Stay a while and listen."
Stay a while and listen.
I mean, the bloke could have been selling insurance and I still would have stayed a while. The first act had such a depth of character to it, and it was full of variety. Whether you were clearing the Den of Evil, exploring haunted towers, or crawling through caves, it kept you on your toes. But what really set Diablo 2 apart were the cutscenes. These were cinematic masterpieces, especially for the time. Every act ended with this jaw-dropping scene that pushed the story forward and immersed you even deeper into the world. It wasn't just a game, it felt like living inside an epic fantasy movie. And for a kid back then, it was a bit like being at the cinema, only I was the hero, or in my case, the bloke cowering behind skeletons. Now let's talk loot. Diablo 2 had loot for days. It's why I played it, honestly. Every time a demon dropped something shiny, I'd get a little thrill. It was like Christmas every time. But because I was playing single player, I had to make sure I was getting the best gear possible. I spent so much time with the merchants, selling junk, buying better weapons, getting ripped off like it was the local car boot sale. But still, what a system. And of course, the bosses were nothing short of legendary. You had Act 1's Andariel, the creepy demoness with her poisonous attacks. Act 3's Mephisto, lurking in the Temple of Kurast. And then, of course, Diablo himself at the end. But the boss that almost made me give up gaming entirely, Duriel. Act 2's Duriel was an absolute nightmare. I'm convinced he was put in the game just to test your patience. Big, scary, and relentless. He was a nightmare. I had to throw everything at him, summoning creatures, hiring mercenaries, using town portals like I was running a travel agency. It took me 7 hours and about 100 tries to beat him. I even quit the game for 3 months because of him. After that, the rest of the bosses were like a walk in the park. What I loved most about Diablo 2 was the sheer variety of monsters, places, and challenges. The different acts all had their own vibe, whether it was the deserts of Lutgolin, the jungles of Kurast, or the fiery hellscape of the Chaos Sanctuary. Each act was packed with its own unique brand of horror and difficulty. The monsters would creep up on you, sometimes quite literally. You'd hear eerie whispers in the dungeons, and then bam, marauding enemies would come charging out of the darkness. If that didn't make you jump, nothing would. Diablo 2 had that perfect mix of action and atmosphere. I'd say it's a 10 out of 10 game for me, no question. Even after all these years, it's still one of the best gaming experiences I've ever had. I haven't had as much fun on any game since, and I doubt anything else will top it. So, what about you lot? Did you play Diablo 2? Which boss was the toughest for you? Did you play solo like me, or did you dive into multiplayer with friends? I'm glad I tackled it single player. It was an epic journey, but I'm curious to hear your experiences. Anyway, that's all from me for now. Until next time, peace out and happy gaming.